What is going on, YouTube? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Happy Thursday, everybody. Every single low CPI rally target was hit, including a nearly 7% move on the Russell to hit our 1830 projection. Proud to say one of our members, Docs, made an absolute killing on our Discord. Guys, some of the people in the comments are asking me about, are we doing any sales for Black Friday, for the holiday, to join our Discord? We have the best sale in the world. Our Discord is free to join for a month. Absolutely free, no strings attached. All you have to do is message Lee in the Telegram. I'll pin it in the YouTube comments. It's in the video description. If you try out one of our two sponsors, guys, SimpleFX or BingX, you can join the room for free. When you join, you get our education, you get our TA, our trade signals, our live streams, and you get a fantastic community of 12,000 freedom-seeking individuals, and it's all free. The indicators you get to keep for life. There's no tiers. We don't upgrade you, upsell you. It's not a sales funnel. It's free, guys, for the first month, and it's one flat fee every month after that you want to stay. Highly suggest all of you check it out. Again, message Lee. He'll walk you through it if you are interested. I think it's something everybody on this channel would really enjoy. I don't want to go off on a rant here, but we got to talk about a couple of things. First of all, you might notice the power stash because I'm going to go no shave November. I'm looking for the Mads Mikkelsen power stash look. Lee, throw a picture of Mads up here. I'm probably butchering his name. I think he's Dutch, but throw a picture of Mads up. That's what I'm going for, guys, because I get trading power, just like Samson when he had long hair. You know, I can't do the hair. So I'm going to do the mustache. Once again, we're going to regrow that trend. But we need to do a BBC update. Lee, be very careful what you throw on the screen right here. I need a BBC update. We don't want to get banned from YouTube. There we go. Billionaire Boys Club. Guys, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, just sold another $13 billion with a B in stocks. He was sitting on a treasure trove of $157 billion. We did a video a couple weeks ago, got ton of views, 18,000 views, called Billionaires Exit the Market. Warren Buffett's clearly exiting the market. So let me juxtapose that with Tom Lee all over CNBC saying this is year one of the bull market and next year's year two. So Warren Buffett's widely considered to be one of the best investors of all time and certainly one of the best investors alive. The guy's in his 90s? So he's only 20 or 30 years younger than Biden. Right? So he's seen every single market cycle there is. And I told you the billionaires do not care about market tops and not necessarily even market bottoms, but they understand market cycles. Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on $160 billion. They're not doing that because they think they're going to miss out on a magical unicorn bull run with a soft landing, which has never once happened in history. So understand, once again, on these channels, my channel, other channels, we dissect these moves. We want to trade these 100, 200 point moves, but the bigger life-changing income for a lot of people is going to be coming in to play next year when the recession hits, whether it's in Q1, like Paul Tudor Jones thinks, or it happens in Q2, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen because it's happened in all 12 recessionary cycles. The same exact indicators with 100% accuracy predicted all of them, whether it's the Darter rule for unemployment, the LEI index, the strongest and longest yield curve inversion and market history. All of these indicators tell you you're getting a recession. So keep your powder dry for that because I know some of you from the comments, I answer every single comment on this channel. Some of you said you don't trade, but you want to understand when I think there's a bottom or when there's a good probability of a bottom. The market has never put in a bottom once in history, and all 12 recessionary cycles never once put in a bottom before the recession. That will happen during or after the recession, which will happen next year. As you guys know, on my charts, I have May looking at a bottom based on that esoteric fractal pattern. So guys, be aware of that. I'm going to guide you as best as I can. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Consider joining our room. I would love to see all of you there. Message Lee for all the details. Lee, let's start the show.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Right. Fucking thing sucks.
We'll do it live, ladies and gents. We will do it live. On my screen, Exhibit A. So this is the Russell. This is the breakout, guys. I mean, look how beautifully this tracked. We talked about this Monday, right? I told you everybody on the media, and they're all saying, oh, the small caps, this is a good time to get into small caps. The big banks are saying that. And what did it do? Exactly what I told you it would do. You have your classic Ponzi W pattern, your low, your higher low, your breakout. Where did you go to? Natural law of trading, the 1618, proportional move, the golden ratio. You hit 1830. You got to 1833. I'm sorry. I got you within $3 on an $1,830 asset. So you got to 1833 and you sold right off. I actually posted a trade when we hit it and it just kept going down. So I don't think anybody was able to get into that trade, but it was 1793 right now. I'm making this video early, guys. It's what time is it? 9:41 Eastern time. My sister's getting married this weekend, so I have my sister, my niece, my daughter's on her way here. My parents are on their way here. We have to go on a road trip for a beach wedding on the other side of Florida. Hopefully the weather's better there because it's rainy and cold here. So we'll see how that plays out. But I want to get this video out for you guys. But guys, this is the key retracement now that you have on the Russell. What is it going to do? Where is it going to hold? Remember, small caps lead the large caps. So let's go ahead and look at this. And let's go ahead and pull our retracement. I'm not using the low here. I'm using this impulsive move out. Okay. I want to see where this could go. 1775 is the 382. 486 is 1760. 618, 1740, right by your 200. So in SO wave theory, my trading method, EWT, the trigger some Elliott wave people, esoteric wave theory, you need to hold 382, 486, or the 618 to have a print back up to the higher level. Can you come deeper? Of course you can. You can come down to the 786, but this starts to reduce your probabilities for upside move. Oftentimes you'll come down to this level, make maybe a little bit of a higher high or a lower high, and you can start looking at double tops as well. But these are your key pivot levels to see if you hold this, because if you just come down to the 382 and roll back up, hit the 200 and roll over, what are you doing? You're just making a double top and you'll have more dissension. Remember, this is a new market low, right? That's a new market low. When the small caps, when the Russell was here, Bitcoin had lost 70% and was at 15.5. 70% from our 48.2 trade that I shared on YouTube, okay? 70%. And the Nasdaq was down 34% and the S&P was down 24% last time this price was hit, and you're not that far above it. Okay. So that's a key divergent cycle you guys need to understand. So let's go ahead and move forward to see if that resistance holds. Looking at the equal weight to RSP, where'd we get to? Exactly where, so we could pump up to the 200, right? So you got above the 200, fell back below it. You could be making a top here. If you come up another, $1.50, $1.80, you'll be at the 618. I think that's where that would stop. Getting above the 200, you have your death cross on the Russell, your death cross on the equal weight, all companies valued equally here, okay? And let's go ahead. I want to remind you guys of this as well. 54-year historical chart, the 10-year Treasury. We talked about this in 08, right? So in 2008, same thing, and .com, you can see on my screen. If yields in fact have peaked, remember, if yields in fact have peaked back in .com, Yields peaked 7 weeks later. They started moving down and the market peaked, and then the market fell with the yields. The market followed the yields down 7 weeks later. And the in the GFC, it was 13-week period. Okay. In the GFC, it took 13 weeks. Yields peaked 13 weeks later. The market followed the yields down. You need to be aware of that. We played that clip for you before. I'm not going to play it again, but if yields peaked here on the 10-year at just over 5%, which maybe we can bounce back up off this channel, but you might just be getting a lower high for a three-wave double top, right? But if yields did peak, you're on a clock. You're on a clock. And another false narrative you get from the media, guys, is what? If inflation can keep coming down, the Fed can cut. They're pricing in cuts for next year. I think the market has 4 cuts for next year. Do you know what happened? Lots of people have made videos on this, especially George Gammon. You can check his videos out. Do you know what happened when the Fed cut rates in the pandemic, when the Fed cut rates in the GFC, when the Fed cut rates in .com? Did the market go up? No, the market cratered. Part of that is because the Fed doesn't cut rates till all the economic damage is done. You have to understand the way the market is behaving right now. You got bit by a venomous snake, okay? You can still function. You're starting to feel a little weird. You can still function. Price can still rally. You can still get all this energy. You could run. You could run back to your car if you want to try to get to the hospital. But you're starting, as time goes by, your body is being destroyed from the inside out. It's the same with the market. The underlying economic damage is severe. You can't necessarily see it. As retail, we can. Go grocery shopping. Remember, the value of the dollar is down almost 23.5% since the pandemic, right? So they tell you inflation's 3%. The value of the dollar is down 23.5%. Did any of you, unless you're working in a auto workers union, did any of you get a 23.5% pay raise in the last 2 years? If not, you lost money. That's part of the reason people are spending less, okay? So understand the underlying economics here is that everything is getting weaker. Meanwhile, price is trying to rally. SPX 3-week chart, log scale on my screen. Do you see the double top I was talking about forming now, the 3-wave pattern? The exact same type of 3-wave pattern you did here, right? Before you capitulated. This was my base case, guys. S&P coming up to 4,500 with that PPI that came out. We got a little bit more of a spurt back up, and we're back here at 45.06 here on the log. I think it's a couple dollars higher on the CFD chart, but this is where you're at, guys. And this is what I'm looking at is if we start topping out here underneath the fractal high of 46.07, right? If you start topping out, you're going to capitulate and roll over. Doesn't mean you break the bottom right away. No, you may pull back for a smaller W, right? That pattern would look like this. You pull up, you went up here, you could pull back and then come back up, and that would be your breakout. Either way, you still need to take out this 46.07 to have more upside, but I'm looking for this sharper pullback here once we start topping out, okay? That's what we're looking for on the S&P. And that will give you, by the way, went over these targets, but that'll give you the 1618 at 49.18, taking out your all-time high. Not my base case. Want you guys to be aware of that because it is there, and a lot of YouTubers are talking about it. So let's, not that number. They have their own number, of course, but that's the number that it will hit because that's Fibonacci. So let's look at the Dow. The Dow hit the exact level we talked about, 34,975. See, here you were down here at the 618. I told you this would be a level up, right? If the S&P comes up to the 786, the Dow's coming up to the 786, the baby S&P. And that's exactly what the Dow did. It's sitting here at 34,975. Right here at the 786. You want to see if this starts to roll over. Looking at your money flow, you're just hit overbought. Your volume momentum is horrible. This was a FOMO rally all the way up, okay? We look at our volume here. Look at the volume. Left to right, guys. Look at the volume. Below average volume, this whole rally up, okay? Could you get breakout volume? Sure. This is fewer people paying higher prices, keeping the prices afloat. 34,975 on the daily time frame. You only have a couple candles. If you go down to the smaller time frames, you might start getting a topping structure like the 4-hour chart might be looking to make a 3-wave pattern here, like a double top structure, okay? So we'll go ahead and move forward. Lee, got to get esoteric on these people. Lee has nothing better to do than troll me about the esoteric stuff. I'm the last Bavarian Templar Knight, guys. The Illuminati have been hunting my people for a very long time. So I intend to share all these market secrets with you before they find me hidden at my ranch in Florida. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Now they have more of a geolocation on me. But guys, this is my, again, core thesis here as to why we're not breaking out. Law of three pattern, nothing more than an ABC correction. Remember, I had 5 waves up and SO wave theory to make our all-time high. So for me, this was an A, B, there's your B. This is an AB correction. I don't think you're taking out that high. If you do, we shall see, but you still have to come down, pull back to make a W pattern. Okay. You still have to do that move and you haven't done it yet. So we'll see. I think you're topping out here and you're going to roll down, and how you handle that pullback is going to tell you where the market's going, because it can very easily come back up and double top. But been over this many times. All-time high down to your sell-off low here, and that was 201 bars. And the rally up was 203 bars, equidistant moves, market symmetry. And then now this correction phase down, or crash phase, whatever you want to call it, down, bottoming in May of 2024. This would be your sell-off, okay? And that's 202 bars. Again, market symmetry between the 3 equal length moves, a law of 3 pattern. And we've been over the lunar cycles as well. Our new moon gave us a pivot to the upside. Price at 45.06 here on the cash chart, because we were just at open, right? Yeah, it's 951. So price at 45.06 here. Again, we hit our exact target, the 786, guys. And the next key date we're watching is November 27th. Why? Because the crash window is open until November 27th in the Puet's crash cycle. We have to this full moon to top out. After we top out, 2 to 4 weeks, hardcore selling. If we repeat the 8 crash cycles that Steve Puet studied, and this exact pattern appeared on Ring of Fire eclipse, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, within the next full moon, you should have a top. I was looking at 13th being the top. Obviously, CPI kicked that up, right? Low CPI, boom, rally. So we're looking for our top by November 27th. So we'll see if this plays out. This is some strong wick candles here. Let's go ahead on a tradable chart. You can see here we got a lot of supply dump. Guys, this rally was very euphoric. Remember, again, strongest 2-year rally in the S&P. I think it was a day or two away from being like a multi-decade strong rally. But let's look at this from some other principles here. Again, volume divergence, not a single, and as a matter of fact, it's just declining, not a single average volume bar the whole strongest 2-year rally up. Okay. Volume divergence, significant for looking for a top. Now, if you notice on my Fibonacci projection here of this Ponzi pattern, of this W that you have here, right? If you notice this Fibonacci projection, your 1618 is 45.84. Could you go up from here? I mean, it's possible. I just don't see the momentum right now to do that. You're hung up exactly at the one spot 414 at 45.23.9. Okay. You could come up and tag that. That's still not your rally high. But, this is where we're looking at here, because the volume's not conducive for it. Maybe if you can go sideways, you can look at that. But look at other indicators, too, to determine how strong this rally was. Let's go ahead and throw my Caterpillar on here. This is our custom market maker Bollinger Bands, right? I have mine set to the golden ratio 1618 instead of standard deviation of 2. So I like this, but you can see how it bursted out, right? So in general, when you get mean reversion, you will mean revert back down to at least your 21, your mid-channel line, right? But let's look at this from a Fibonacci perspective and get some targets based on this. So you blew out of the Caterpillar, the Bollinger Bands. You have a low volume rally. Let's remove this and see where this could retrace to if the market starts to give up these gains, which I think it has to at least take a breather, okay? At least take a breather, and we're going to see how it behaves at that point. The 382 is all the way down at 43.65. So I like that area up there. We're above the 786 at 45.01, but that 45.25 area, I like that area, especially on a smaller time frame. If you start topping out, that's an area I would be looking to put some shorts on. As a matter of fact, I have a trade in the room in that area that didn't activate just yet. People might have got in early, but it didn't activate to the extent that the trades posted. But looking at the 382, guys, 43.65. That's a nice retracement, right? That's a 150, 175 point retracement. That's just to come down to the base level here, right? The base level, accumulate, come up, pull back, come up, pull back, make your higher low, and break back out take out this fractal, take out that fractal. That's if you come to the 382. You could come deeper, you could come up, make a higher low, a lower high, come back down and start looking at 42.65, 43.21. So we'll see. This topping area right here is really important. It's only a couple candles here on the daily. And we hit this wick up here with the lower PPI, the euphoria in the market. So we'll see how this plays out. And again, we're above the 45.01, the 786. I really would like to have seen us below it, but it is what it is, guys. So you're above it. I think it's that euphoric rise that got you up here at the PPI to give you the extra $25, $30. So if the market just starts chopping around here of low volume, being overbought as well, where's the MFI, hit the overbought range. Look at the volume momentum. The volume momentum just totally died off. You see that? So it's getting stronger to the downside. This to me wants to roll, right? Doesn't mean you can't have little pop-ups here and there, but I think you're going to roll down just like this on this side. And maybe that final top is going to be that November 27th, or the move back up could happen there on November 27th for a top. So we'll see how it goes. Let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin just chopping around out of our diamond pattern, guys. So looking at Bitcoin, we got all the way up here, all the way up to just about 38K. So nice move on Bitcoin. Again, the trade that we took, shared this with you guys, breaking the fractal to diamond. You're at a 20% move here. Anybody that's still holding that trade, you're at a 20% move up here to the top. And Bitcoin, we had this little Wyckoff, mini Cough range identified. Look, it just chopped up the whole way through it, got on top of it, back tested it once or twice here. And now you just keep accumulating at a higher level. So let's go ahead and do something different here, because I have my targets at 41K. And you can see we've got really, really close to that 41K. Let's look for some confluence here on a larger fib pool here. This was my retirement trade, guys, from 48.2 for that 70% drop after your all-time high. But let's go ahead and do this again. Let's pull a fib from that D point here, okay? We'll pull the fib from the D point because I think that lines up beautifully with my 41K target as well. Market low 15.5. Look at that, 786, right on top of the 2618. I think that's going to be really strong resistance and most likely where I think Bitcoin could potentially top. But let's also pull this from the all-time high and see where we get this fib at. Let's check here. Come down here. And you get the 486 retracement just above at 41.5. So 2618 is a key area. 41K is a key area. Between 41K and 41.5, from the all-time high, you got essentially the 50% retracement. From the D point, from the 48.2, you have the 786 retracement. I think this is where Bitcoin's going to come up to, and it's going to really have a hard time here. I think it's going to struggle here. Maybe you get that 618 at 48, but I think for that to happen, you have to have the markets pivot up, take out their highs on their pivots, and start pushing up to an all-time high. This is just my thesis. We shall see how it plays out, but I think this is the most likely top for Bitcoin if and when we can get up to that 41K, okay? But that's that next move I'm looking for Bitcoin. And guys, it's interesting. I told you guys my thoughts on Bitcoin. We've accumulated since March, right? Again, remember, S&P rallied up 4,600, S&P corrected 11%, S&P trying to rally back up. Bitcoin didn't break out to that October 23rd video where I shared this trade. So is it lagging? I mean, in a way, yes, it's lagging because it was behind, right? It was accumulating, but at the same time, this is a massive range. Almost 32K down to 24K. So do you guys think Bitcoin is lagging or leading? In other words, was this pump, because remember, we got the pump before the S&P pump back up off of 4,100. Was the pump leading the equities or is it lagging the equities? I think you can make an argument both ways, but it is interesting because if you can figure that riddle out, you could figure out what the next moves in the market are, at least give you another layer of confluence for the next moves in the market. I don't see any interesting structures quite here yet. I mean, on the daily, you could be arguing here. Let's try the 8 hour. You could be arguing here for making a double top. Yeah, you see this? So it doesn't mean it's going to break down, but you do have this Wyckoff trading range. Look how beautiful the mini Cough played out. You have your up thrust, you come back down, you keep holding these higher lows, and then you come back down and have an up thrust and you break out. Here's your Livermore pivot, right? This is your classic Livermore pivot we talk about all the time. It's taking out that fractal. And where did Bitcoin struggle? 38.50. Look at that. It got right up to the fractal, pulled back down. So if you're making a higher low here, your W pattern, which you could be, right? So you could be making this W just like this. There's your pullback, and then you're going to pivot back out to the upside. This would be a bullish situation up to 41K. That could be happening right here, but this same exact pattern can give you this, which is nothing more than a three-wave pattern, your Ponzi pattern breakdown, okay? So you want to see how you hold this low. And if we want to look at this from Fibonacci perspective, let's go ahead and put a fib retracement on here. You're bouncing right off the 382, 36,679. As long as you can hold, again, down to the 618, you can come to the 50%, hold the 618. You want to hold that bullish trend. You start coming back down here, you're going to be back testing your lows, right? You'll be back testing this somewhere between 35 and 34.6. You'll be back testing that. So as long as you can hold this, just watch this, because you do have that pattern here, that W pattern forming. Let me see what that projection would be coming up. Let's see where that gets you to. We don't know if this is a low, so we're just going to assume that it's the low here on the W. But if that's the low on the W, your 2618 almost gets you right back up to that 41K. Obviously, your 1618, because it's such a tight candle range here, only gets you to about 39K. So we'll see. Watch that, guys. Watch and see how that plays out, because on a smaller time frame, yet you go to 4 hour, 1 hour, you're going to be making smaller patterns. Maybe you have other double tops, or maybe you see more confluence for this move. What's our MFI doing? MFI, see, again, you're pulling up. You got to the median line. If you pull back and hold this higher low, bullish, right? Look how close this looks when you're looking at it on 8 hour. You're at 36.7 right now, 36,686. You could get this move, and maybe that's a move that could happen on the weekend. Have we had a big weekend move in a while? You guys remember when I first came to crypto, the weekends were fire. Like, you had to stay up like all day Saturday, Sunday, so you could see the moves. But now that there's so much institutional money and so much less retail in the market, it seems like the weekends have been a lot more docile, or is it just me? But watch that move for that breakout. Take out that fractal 3850 and an upward move. And that's the type of trend trade some people may want to jump on. If you get that upward move, look at your indicators, whether you're using our momentum master on one of our indicators, you're using MACD or something. Look at your indicators in the smaller time frames to see if you get that. But I'll also be looking at confluence with the markets, right? In general, bullish markets, bullish crypto. Move forward. Nasdaq got to the exact target, guys, 15,937.8, right? Exact target. Remember, I just looked at this from the version of levels. Nasdaq was down here at 786. S&P leveled up. Russell leveled up. Nasdaq leveled up. Dow leveled up. You know, this is your fractal, guys. If you take out that fractal, again, you would want confluence with the S&P, but this is where all the Mag 7 stocks are. If you can take out that fractal, you can come up to that all-time high of 17,098. This meteoric rise, guys, it makes sense to me that you build a top. And again, this top is going to tell you how you handle this move back down, whether or not you're going to be able to pivot back out to the upside. I don't think you're getting here on this move. Again, too euphoric. It needs to pull back and cool off. You're overbought. Momentum's good, but you need to pull back and cool off. At least that's what I'm thinking. And that cool off, you're going to come down to a level and try to come back up. You're either going to make a double top or you'll hold a higher low, and this will start your breakout to the upside. Where's our likely retracement level? If you hit 16,448, right? If you're able to do that, the problem's going to be is if you come back up, right? You pull down, you come back up, you make a lower high, and you just make these classic three-wave Ponzi patterns that the NASDAQ has done multiple times in trends. So that's what you want to watch. Right now, we're in that topping phase. What is today? Thursday? I mean, this could continue next week. You could get some more weakness. Big supply wick here, and we'll have to see what happens in this range. In this range, you have a couple of days, but if you start seeing this capitulation, and people are worried like, well, I don't know how to trade this. This is pretty much a naked trade right now. If you knew it was going to hit these levels, you know, I posted a bunch of trades after we tested resistance. Some of them hit. Some of them didn't quite get there, like in other words, on a retest yet. So they hit the target, but they came back down, seeing if it holds on a retest, like the NASDAQ, like the S&P. So we want to see if that holds up. But if this rolls down, you're going to have this opportunity on all these indices, because this is a classic three-way pattern. You get sell-off, and it's the second move. This is your tradable move here, right? Unless you just know it's going to hit that fib, this is your tradable move on your three-wave pattern, is that second high. Because if you take out your pivot, on that move, you do this and you come up, that's your pivot, breaking your fractal, and you're coming up to a higher level. If you make the lower high, easier to trade it. It's a double top pattern, right? All right, let's move forward. Looking at the Footsie again, we got to the 618. There's your 50, and look at that drop off, right? So you got the 75.39. We talked about that Monday's video. You're below the 200. You have your death cross. Footsie again, you're holding higher lows. Again, it's a macro. Macro is clearly a bearish structure, but micro bullish structure here with your higher lows, got rejected at key resistance. You want to see if this holds up or if it's going to roll over. And it's going to be really dependent on the US markets. Your key resistance, 75.39, just above you, 74.80. If you're looking at support structures here, your key low is 72.22, your fractal low. But just from this recent low on this push up, you can look at it this way as well. Let's get rid of this fib. You're below the 382, so the 46 is 74.04, the 618, 73.68. You want to hold the 618 to keep the higher low structure going. Moving forward, French 40 got exactly to the 618, 72.31. The trading range I talked about. You pumped up, you hit your 200, you sold off a little bit, 72.31. So these all hit exactly how I thought the Fibonacci would work on these patterns, okay? So now the key, again, this is a topping phase. Either you're going to break out of the topping phase or you're start rolling over in the topping phase, testing support, and do this type of move, okay? So this is what you want to watch. And this is all the indices. I mean, they're all doing the same thing. The money flows through the same, all these indices the same, right? So 72.31 below your 200. Again, death cross here as well. And you want to keep this range. You want to stay above your 50, obviously. Next key support, 71.28. If you start poking your head back up here, again, look for those little breakouts if they happen. I don't see the breakouts happening without the markets cooling off. You almost got overbought here on the MFI. Not quite yet, so you could see a retest up here of the 200. Be aware of that. Momentum looks good, but it should look good after this multi-day uptrend on the CAC. Germany, the DAX. So the DAX got through the 200. The DAX got through the 618. The DAX is just beast mode right now. 15,844. So that's interesting on the DAX. Where we at? You're not overbought. You have a nice uptrend, nice momentum. How are we doing? Let's get a projection here because you have your W. You see your W pattern here. You have a really deep retracement here on that part of the W. But let's see where we got to as far as a projection, golden ratio projection. You're right at the 1272. 15,838. So if you can continue this, the bullish trend here, watch 16,179. If you come back up to this level, puts you in line with all these fractals as well. We'll see if that can happen. Where's that over? I mean, maybe. I don't know, maybe. I haven't followed the DAX as closely. I don't know if you guys had some interesting economic news in the last, I guess, this week, but this thing's moving. It's still moving up. You do have that death cross, guys. Remember, every single indice, not to beat it to death, we've been over this in the charts, rallies into the death cross, after the death cross. Ultimately, you will capitulate at a level with the death cross as the global economies continue their downward trajectory. So see if this holds 15,838 because that's where you are, the 1272. Again, this is the square root of 1618. Key fib 1272. Moving forward, Tesla filled our gap, guys. Look at that. We got our gap fill. So we talked about this, the trend line. You got your move up. It filled the gap at 242. You got all the way up to actually 246. I really wanted to see this retest the channel and come up to the 786 here at 252. Didn't get there. You filled the gap, and now you're starting to come back down. But you had your beautiful W we talked about, and it worked, right? You got your gap fill. So this looks like it's trying to hold here below the 618 at 240. Price right now is 238. So let's see if we get a topping structure. If you start getting one of these, then you have a tradable move, right? I mean, this is all it boils down to. Big tradable moves, big three-wave patterns of trade, smaller three-wave patterns of trade, five-wave topping patterns, and W patterns you can long breakouts on. This is all the market is. The trading's not hard. This doesn't cost you $3,000 in education. Man, that blew my mind. One of you guys sent me a link, or a couple of guys on Discord, of some of these channels, what they're charging for their basic trend line supply demand trading. Unbelievable. Guys, we have like we have PDFs on our Discord where you can download a lot of educational material and keep it on your phone for life, and you don't got to pay for these courses. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this is all it boils down to in trading, guys. So we'll see how that starts playing out. Race did not activate yet. So I have this up here at 357. Maybe you can get there today. You're almost at 354. I wanted to see this come to 357, hold it as resistance. Be great on a smaller time frame like the hourly. If you start getting a little bit of a rollover, forming some type of bearish pattern, that's where I like to see race get to. Look at these gaps. I mean, all these gaps are going to get filled. And I think this will be a great stock. Meteoric rise, all-time high. It's at an all-time high. So I like looking at stocks like this. Also, the PE is over 50 right now on race. So I love looking at stocks like this that have big run-ups, no earnings threat. The next earnings is not till January. So that news is baked in. So this, I'm looking for a topping structure on race, tradable on SimpleFX. Guys, if you want to check out our platforms, definitely do that. Lee, go ahead and show them the SimpleFX app because it's an absolutely fantastic platform. With our link, you do get up to a $5,000 instant bonus. All right, guys. Yeah, check SimpleFX out. If you want to trade all the cryptos, then you can check out BingX. And again, you do get our free month with that. So that's what I'm looking at on race, guys. It's overbought in the MFI. Volume momentum is down. So if we get any more euphoric rise here, it'd be fantastic. Love to see us tap 357 spot 60. Keep your eyes on the prize. Adobe, man, look how close. Look how close this came. This would have been perfect. So we have our classic W, right? You got your W, got the beautiful W. The harmonic ratio expansion was 616. I told you 608 from the 786 to 616, and you got to 613.71. Maybe you come back up and get to 616. Now, with Adobe, you have to be careful. You're holding the 127 to a support 592 because Adobe's earnings are December 13th, and this thing's been flying. Okay, so be careful. Remember, the earnings could really, the earnings could be bad too, and then it's just a catalyst for downside. But be aware of that. But I think we'll be topping out in the markets well before that. So good one to watch, guys. Again, plus 50 PE, W pattern, almost hit the target on the head. See if this comes back up, especially in a smaller time frame for a lower high, right? Or if it comes back up and prints a lower high at the target, but in a smaller time frame. Good tradable moves in the market. And look at NVDA. This is beautiful as well. Look at the harmonic ratios here on my X5 Fibonacci pattern. Guys, we talked about the breakout. You took out your fractal. You came up to the 1272. I mean, look at that. Almost on the dollar. 499 versus 498.88. And you hit it and you start to retrench some. This could be a soft pullback for the move up to the 1618. If you get up to the 1618, I would be looking to trade NVIDIA. Now, their earnings, by the way, are November 21st. So keep that in mind. What is today? Today is the 16th. So that's in 5 days. So be very well aware of that. If they have no insight, nobody does what their earnings are. If they have blockbuster earnings, this thing could fly through, right? So don't just trade it, but see what happens here. But if you come up here, build a top, be aware of the earnings. I mean, the ratios here are absolutely gorgeous. 1272, 1618, just beautiful, beautiful ratios. Almost another 1272 down here. So this is beautiful ratios. 527. If this comes up and holds this area, I'm looking to trade this as well in confluence with the markets. Not quite overbought, almost there, but that's, this is NVIDIA. This is pure FOMO degens. Volume momentum's way down on this rally. Again, soft pullback. Let's see if we come back up, or you may end up making a temporary top, but be aware of those earnings in 5 days, guys. Guys, that's all the good and bad jokes I have for you this week. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Leave me your comments. I will answer them as always on this channel. And please do smash the like button. I'll talk to you guys on Monday's video. Have a fantastic weekend. This fucking thing sucks. Fuck it, Lee. I'll do it live. We'll do it live. God damn it.